Okay, I'm just going to remind you of the text that I sent you at the start of the last over. Okay, one single for Meghna and then a six from Goswami. Close.
Almost to
Close.
script. Very, very close. Unbelievable scenes.
It was the shot that I thought she was going to play as well. Bit disappointed it didn't go for six. So, try harder, Julan. Next time, I prefer you to go exactly to my script. But in the meantime, let's get on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our review of another absolute cracking match from Mackay. Maybe we should just have all ODIs played in Mackay from now. India ending Australia's record winning streak at 26. It started with India 3 years ago. It finishes with India and another dramatic finish. I'm joined by Jess Jonassen here on Sporting News Australia. Jess, are we going to have any nerves left by the end of this series? I think not.
I don't think so either. My watch actually pinged at me during the last few overs to alert me that I had a high heart rate. So I don't know how my heart's going to cope for the rest of the series if this is how it started. Absolutely amazing.
That is absolutely classic. I'm not surprised if I had a fancy watch. I'm sure it would have been pinging at me throughout that chase in particular. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. If you do have a comment or a question during the live show, please just drop it into the live chat and we will hopefully get to it. We've got a lot to go through. There was so much in that match. It was incredible. But let's get stuck into the first of our talking points for this game. And if we go back and look at the start of the match, the bowling of Julan Goswami, player of the match in the end, and deservedly so. So pleased to see her get that too, because after such a heartbreaking final over, one that would have been really tough for the experienced player to swallow, boy, did she come back with a new ball again, managed to put it all out of her mind, which is a pretty impressive feat, Jess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Julan really showed her experience. And I mean, she would have been absolutely shattered after Friday, particularly with the beamer that she bowled as well. It's never nice sort of hitting another player, but yeah, I mean, the way that she really set the tone with Meghna Singh again should have, yeah, I mean, you just can't write the script any better, really. I mean, like you said, started off with the ball, but then the way she finished it with the bat, particularly to win the winning run, to get the winning runs as well. Yeah, it's just obviously from an Australian, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but someone like Goswami, who's one of the nicest ones going around on the cricket scene, it's nice that, yeah, she can sort of come out on top today.
Yeah, just terrific stuff from her. It's been continually good bowling from India early on. We'll bring up our next topic, actually, because, like I said, there is so much to go through. Australia, they sort of struggled early again. They lost early wickets. But we did see some partnerships come together, I guess particularly that one between Ashley Gardner and again Talia McGrath. She's been a great addition to this Australian side with her all-round skills.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the interesting thing, other than the very first ODI where Healy and Haynes sort of, I guess, batted almost the whole way through. They've sort of struggled a bit in the last two games. I don't know whether that comes down to the Indian opening bowlers have been much tighter and built a lot more pressure, or whether it's a matter of that, yeah, the Aussie batters are just struggling at the moment. We obviously saw Meg Lanning dismissed really cheaply again today. So, I mean, yeah, hopefully she's keeping some runs in the bank for the Test series. But, I mean, the best part about this Aussie setup at the moment is the depth that we're showing we have, particularly with the bat. Ash Gardner coming off with, I think, her highest ODI score today. and going sort of at a run of ball as well. And then Talia McGrath just finishing the job again, and Nick Carey at the end again also. But yeah, it's just, I think Australia were maybe 120 odd at the 30 over mark and really sort of struggling. And then to actually finish with a total of around 265 in the end was absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, it really was, and some really good contests between certain players. Is there a particular matchup that you found interesting between the Indian bowlers and the Australian batters? And I'm thinking particularly of Meg Lanning.
Yeah, well, obviously Meg Lanning and Julan Goswami. I think going back to I think it was the England World Cup where in the semi-final, and Julan actually took Meg's wicket then as well. And it's sort of, even though Meg is so strong through that offside and that cover point region, she's also quite susceptible there early on as well. And with the way that Julan was bowling, sort of particularly over the last two games, she really didn't stray away from that fourth stump and that corridor sort of area. So yeah, I mean, a sharp catch by Richard Gosh behind the wickets as well. Obviously, those are the ones that you don't want to drop.
Well, you talk about fielding. We're going to come to that, but another thing that I think was really key that we've both talked about sort of off air is the emergence of Yastika Bhatia. I mean, she has been a real find. Just her third ODI, playing at number 3. A lot of people thinking that maybe Jemima Rodrigues should be in this side. Harmanpreet Kaur obviously has been out with an injury, but the way that she used to feet to the spinners and took on the short ball was particularly impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think she's one of the superstars coming through in this Indian lineup, that she's just showed real poise and real composure at the crease. And I sort of have seen some similarities between her and the way that Smriti Mandhana goes about her work as well at the crease, and obviously another classy left-hander. But I mean, yeah, you look at the likes of the players coming through, and when it does come time for the likes of Mitali Raj to retire, that top order of India was well and truly in good hands.
Yeah, it really is. Look, another thing that happened within this game, particularly for Australia, boy, the injury woes. They're going down like flies, Jess. They'll be calling you up and saying, please, how's that stress injury going for you? Because I wasn't sure who was going to come out. I thought Lucy, the media manager, might have to run on as a sub fielder at one point. But and interestingly, after Rachel Haynes went off with a bit of a hamstring strain, that Beth Mooney went off with hamstring awareness. Has she never realised that she's had them before? I don't think I've ever heard about hamstring awareness before.
No, well, I guess the difference there is probably Rach sort of felt a tweak or something sort of pull, whereas Moon's just probably felt more tightness in there. So hers was probably more of a getting ahead of the ball before something sort of happened that ruled her out for longer. So I think Beth's was probably precautionary, and to be fair, she probably is well within her rights after her efforts on Friday to have a bit of a spell on the sidelines. But I mean, it's not often in any game of cricket, let alone an international, that all three of your drinks runners are on the field at the same time. And I mean, we also saw in India's innings that Ekta Bisht was on there, as well as Jemima Rodrigues for a little bit as well. So we've had players in both sides sort of falling down at different times. But I'm also not surprised with obviously the challenge of quarantine requirements, and I guess the tightness of the schedule as well, and having to back up. Because I mean, the intensity in ODI cricket, particularly in Mackay, where it is a little bit warmer than most places, that yeah, it's sort of some of those things. A lot of the soft tissue sort of injuries are happening. But we also saw later in the Australian fielding innings, poor Sophie Molyneux copping a ball to the face. And I mean, seeing her coming out onto the field with her face strapped up the way it was, that just was the epitome of the kind of person that she is and the character that she has, that she could have a broken leg and still demand to get back out on the field. That yeah, it's sort of, it fills me with pride seeing that there's people in our side with that sort of ticker that want to do everything and anything they can to try and help their team get the job done. And I mean, one good thing as well to see on the injury front was Harmanpreet Kaur in the cricket nets out the back in Mackay. She was preparing with a pink ball as well, so I think that's got a lot of people excited that hopefully she's on the mend. I think they were saying that she might have copped a ball in the thumb in recent times as well. So hopefully, she's on the mend, and who knows what these makeups of both these teams are going to be. I'm sneakily hoping for a Georgia Redmayne inclusion into the Test arena. Obviously, being a Queensland teammate as well, that she scored an absolute mountain of runs. And if one of those two left-handed Australian batters don't get up, I wouldn't be surprised if she somehow finds her way in that Aussie lineup.
I thought you might be saying you're hoping she's out there on the field because she's a doctor, so she could perhaps be treating some of these injuries that are happening out there. You mentioned Harmanpreet Kaur. There's a comment by SS98, a question asking, will Harmanpreet Kaur even have a place in the current Indian ODI team with the likes of Yastika, Bhatia, Deepti, Richa Ghosh and Sneh Rana? She's pretty good, SS98. She's rather good as Harmanpreet Kaur. So I'd say she would, but it's a great thing for India to have competition for those places, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the problem that you want to have as a squad, that it's sort of, and you could sort of build that squad in and around what conditions you face as well. So I think obviously with Harmanpreet Kaur having the ability to bowl a little bit of off spin as well, if there's situations where they require an extra bowler, then she can well and truly take those overs. And I mean, I said at the start of the series that it could have potentially been at the expense of someone like Pooja Vastraka, but in the last two games, she's almost been the pick of the Indian bowlers outside of Goswami up front. So I mean, it's a great problem to have, and I don't envy selectors of either side at this stage.
Yeah, that's a tough one as well. Look, I'm just going to bring in a comment from Prajan M. Prasad, who says, if this leads into our next topic, fielding was terrible for one team and hell of a lot of extras at the other end. That's a really good point there, although there were some drop catches from the Australians as well, which won't please them for their high standards. But India's fielding, 4 drop catches in the end. If they'd lost that match today, you would have had to point to those 4 drop catches and probably some quite poor boundary fielding, I think you'd say as well.
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating to see, because I know how much work both sides put into their fielding. So, and I mean, it wasn't only India. Australia ended up fielding pretty poorly too. I mean, apart from the Molly Strano catch, but yeah, it's sort of, I think the Indian girls' technique on the boundary riding, it was almost just the same thing was undoing them every time. We're going for the one-handed dive or whatnot, instead of potentially a double-legged slide behind the ball, in between like the ball and the boundary rope. So pretty disappointing, I think, for them, as well as from a viewing point of view, that we know both sides are much better than their fielding efforts they produced. But yeah, I mean, also on the point about the sundries as well, I know the bowling coaches in the Australian camp.
34 and 31 of those were wides, Jess. What's going on there?
Well, I think a large majority of those wides ended up being 5 wides. We saw Elise Perry struggling again with the radar at the start, but sort of some of those 5 wides really add up in the end. It's not only the 5 extra runs, but it's the extra delivery as well. And I think ultimately for Australia, that's probably what lost them the game. And for India, it's probably what made the game as close as it was, because I think if they took their catches, wouldn't have surprised me if Australia were bowled out for closer to 220 or even 200. And similar for Australia, they essentially bowled an extra 5 or 6 overs at the Indian side. So, I mean, both camps won't be happy for various reasons, and know that they've got a lot to improve on leading into the Test match, because ultimately, you can't be bowling that many sundries or dropping those sort of catches in a longer format.
Yeah, I love the fact that you use the term sundries a lot as well. It's one of my favorites. A couple of comments I'm going to bring in. There's one from Gaurav Nandan Tripathi who says, "Hello, Mel. Hello. Please contact your BCCI sources and get the women's IPL started. Imagine what a Snehrana, Jemmy, Shafali, Smriti, Yastika could do in a professional league on home grounds." I don't know if
Make
I've
it
got
happen,
Gaurav.
Mel. Make it happen.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got Saurabh Ganguly on speed dial. If I did, I'd be straight in there. And a comment from Jeff saying a women's IPL would improve fielding drastically. I mean, it's not going to be a magic bullet, right? It's just not. But it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing. Every World Cup, the last couple of World Cup finals, I know that India have made, the general vibe has been, oh, look, if India win this, we might really get an IPL. But then you've got the other side of it. If there was an IPL, would they win more matches and get to the point? Would it be more likely for them to win a World Cup? How do you see that, Jess?
Yeah, I agree. It is really challenging, but I think you've seen some of the young players in the Indian setup who have actually come out of the women's exhibition IPL games. So even someone like Shafali Verma's come out of there, and you see what she's been able to do on the international stage. And even from an Australian perspective, some of our best talent has been identified and has come out of the WBBL competition. So you've got these young domestic players coming through and I guess mixing with some high quality international players from other countries, that it's no surprise that their development then starts to become a bit more accelerated because of the quality of players that they're around and they're continuing to learn off. And I mean, if there was a women's IPL, my hand's already up, well and truly. If
That's
anybody
good.
wanted me to go, yeah.
Well, there's two comments. There's one from Prajin again saying, "Jess, come and play women's IPL if it happens soon." And Pooja Programmer saying, "Jess, please come to India for WIPL." So there you go.
If I'm ever asked, I'm there in a heartbeat.
Exactly. So I'll happily come over and cover that as well. We can't be split up, obviously, this
No,
team.
it just works.
Yeah, exactly. No, so the fielding definitely is something that India will be hoping that they will be able to improve on very soon, as will Australia with those wives. That must be a real concern. Just a comment there from Akhil saying, "Hello, Jess. Will this win be a turning point of Indian women's cricket? How is Shafali, Smriti, Yastika with Jemima Harmanpreet, along with lines of Richard Ghosh, Deepi Sharma, Snehrana looking? Well, we know it's looking good, but do you think that this might be a turning point?
Without a
Too
doubt,
early to tell?
I think without a doubt. I think the most pleasing thing is the way that India came out today off the back of Friday's heartbreak. They quite easily could have just come out really sort of behind the eight ball and not really sort of having too much intent about things. But I think the fact that they obviously were so close on Friday night, and then the fact that they've taken a win off Australia and obviously ended that ODI winning streak, that has to give this group an incredible amount of belief. And I think if this doesn't give them that sort of belief, I don't know what will. So, I mean, the fact, all those names that you just reeled off then, Indian cricket's in a really good spot moving forward. So, yeah, I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be part of that Indian women's cricket setup.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our next topic, which is not surprisingly about that finish. It was unbelievable the way that you felt the advantage was swapping between the two sides with every wicket. I know that you liked, as I did, the promotion of Richard Ghosh up the order above Mitali Raj. I'm not sure if her innings would have pleased her critics again today, especially getting out to a very un-Mitali Raj kind of shot too. But it really swung backwards and forwards, you felt, as it got to that last bit. And what the hell is it about Nicola Carey and no balls?
Oh, I know. I think at the halfway point, you were sort of saying that India surely have to get home from there. And I remember saying to you, stranger things have happened. And I mean, I wanted to believe it, but then, yeah, the fact that it came down to the last over yet again. But yeah, fast bowlers have a really annoying habit of bowling front foot no balls every training session in the nets. So I'm never surprised when they bowl one in a game. And I mean, yeah, just one of those things that luck was on India's side today, whereas the other day it was on Australia's side from a no ball front. So I think the ledger's well and truly even now from that perspective. But yeah, it's just you can't keep Nicola Carey out of tight finishes in the games. It's just actually unbelievable how uncanny it is and how easy she just slots into those situations. But yeah, another cracking finish, which really sets up this test match, I think, perfectly. So I think, yeah, if this ODI series is anything to go by, then the next two formats are going to be absolute firecrackers.
It really is, and I guess when you look at it, I know that the Devdutt. Oh, hang on, can I get this? Can I get your name right, Devdutt? Kashir Sagar. Kashir Sagar. I hope I've got that right. You know, I make an effort to try and get these right, Devdutt. India won the match despite its fielding, but how do you think this team is shaping up ahead of the World Cup? And the ODI series, the ODI part of this series is done and dusted now. You've got two wins to one. What do you think this does for both sides looking ahead at that World Cup? Australia, of course, still have a multi-format series to play against England leading into that. But, you know, the winning streak has come to an end. Might that actually be a good thing for Australia?
Yeah, I actually think it is. I think it's one of those things that you sort of don't want to have that extra pressure of something else sort of hanging over your head. It's not really been something as a side sort of during the fact that we've sort of addressed too much. However, the fact that it's in the media so often, you can't really escape it. And it's actually quite similar to during the T20 World Cup when you're the home side and we were constantly trying to bluff our way through saying that we weren't feeling the pressure. We were fine. It doesn't matter. But deep down, we were absolutely on edge. So yeah, it's probably one of those things that you don't want that hanging over your head as a side leading into essentially a knockout tournament in a way. So I think this victory for India, and I guess the streak for Australia coming to an end, it's the best thing for both sides. I think in this ODI series, particularly, both teams have unearthed some fresh talent coming through, and I think that that gives the selectors a really good headache to have. And you want leading into a World Cup event to have a side that is able to adapt to any conditions. And I guess the conditions not only down on the ground, but also from the opposition that you come up against. You might come up against an opposition that isn't very good against fast bowling, so you've got those players in your side to sort of combat that, and vice versa with the spinning front. But yeah, I think it's probably one of the best things to happen for both sides.
Oh, that's a kind of a good way to look at it. Everyone's a winner, basically. Everyone's a winner.
Cricket's the winner.
Look, cricket is the winner. I mean, talk about a brilliant advertisement for the game. You can't have asked for too much more entertainment for that. I'm going to finish up on a comment from Jeff that's directed at you, Matt. If I can, you know, influence the BCCI, can you influence the Brisbane Heat? Jeff says, Julan to Brisbane Heat. Can you make that happen? I'd love to see her up there. You'd love to be bowling in partnership with her, wouldn't you?
Oh, that would be amazing. I mean, to see what she's capable of, particularly her experience as well, I mean, she seemed to have bowled very well in Queensland conditions so far. So who knows? If not this year, then maybe in a few years to come if she's still wanting to be in and around the scene. But I mean, the fact that she retired from T20 cricket, it might be from T20 cricket internationally, I should say, it might be a good way to sneak her out of T20 international retirement. Hey.
I'm all for that. There you go. You heard it here on this show first. If she ends up at the Brisbane Heat, you'll know where it started right here on this show. Well, that is it for the ODIs, but so much more to come up in this series. And of course, next, it's just all the unknown. A day-night pink ball, the game on the Gold Coast, a drop-in wicket. Anything could happen in that. So there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm so happy that Jess Jonassen's going to be here with me to cast her expert eye over all the action, and not just that, so to be my text partner throughout the day as well.
It's nice to know I feel popular.
Yeah, I bet you I'm not the only one sending you text messages at the moment. But thanks so much for your insight, Jess, which is brilliant as ever. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give us a like, leave a comment, and get ready to join us again when we're back with all of the previewing and reviewing of the day-night test in Mackay. Until then, enjoy your week.